All right, so we're back with another exciting edition of the Growth Podcast. And today we have a very interesting guest. But before I get into the guest, I just want to remind you guys that, first of all, we're very grateful for the support that you've given us so far on the podcast, and we look forward to more of that. Remember to subscribe, to like the video, share the video, and also just leave a comment on what you think about this conversation. So going to the guest now, my guest for today, I think of all the guests I've had so far, he's the one that needs the least of introductions. Looking colorful as usual. Welcome to the Growth Podcast, Doc.
Thank you so much, Sui.
It's good to have you, and good to see you after a long time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, and good to see you too.
The last time I saw you, you didn't have glasses. Now you look like, you know how that thing where people with glasses have got so much knowledge.
So much knowledge, and probably because I've been doing a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading, and also working in the sun. And I think when you just have a lot of too much work to do, and little did I realize at some point to say, oh, my eyes were going bad.
Oh yeah.
Until one time you're driving in the night and then you can't see the number plates, and at some point I just had this severe, headache, and tried all medication. Then later on they said, no,
it's just
wear
glasses.
And I've never liked it.
Hey, sometimes
but it just came.
You have no choice. Hey.
Yeah.
You are into education, and I want to take you back to your university days. You were at UNZA, you did teaching at UNZA, I understand, and you've never worked as a teacher. First of all, in your early days in university, how was your experience? Did anything happen during university that made you believe you would end up where you are?
There were pointers. I could feel it. I think the time I was at the university, I'd already reached an advanced level in terms of running businesses. So at least I could feel it. And I think direction was already set to say, this is where I'm heading to. But I didn't want to jump out of the university, because even that time, away from running businesses at the university, there's something that I was doing outside the university. So really, direction was already there.
Most people, when they're doing business and they're in school and the business is doing fine, they quit. They just drop out and focus on the business. Why did you go the whole way and finish your degree?
Well, I understood to say education is very important. And I knew to say if one day I was going to make it big, probably I would be in front of maybe people that are learned, then how am I going to present myself? And I understood the world in which I was living in, to say it's a world that would need you to have a paper. Of course, when you have dealings with other certain organizations, you need to have papers. They're going to ask you about all these qualifications and so on. So that's why I wanted, first of all, to be done. I wanted the education side to be perfected whilst I was running the business, because I knew to say the two normally run side by side. Okay.
And what kind of businesses were you running in university?
I used to supply relish. Okay, so relish in form of sausage, that time mincemeat,
like already
and
prepared
also chickens.
Or raw?
Pardon?
Already prepared or raw?
Already prepared.
Oh, okay.
I learned the art of making sausage and also mince between the grade 12 and university, that space.
Yeah, the gap
1 year. In those days, it was 1 year. You have to be at home. And I went into cattle selling business. I used to take cattle on the copper belt. And through that business, I learned the art of making sausages and also mince. When I was accepted at the University of Zambia, I found that most of the students were going to Kalundu to go and buy their relish. And that's when I looked at it, I said, oh, what they got to buy there already, I have the art, I know how to make. And that's how I had to cut the link. I bought 3 deep freezers. And that's how now over the weekend, I would be out there to go and buy maybe a full animal, slaughter it, and then have sausage mince made. And then I'm putting that in the deep freezers. And apart from that, also I was supplying bedspreads and also curtains. That was self-made. So I would go into someone's room and I would ask them, can I design something? So I would design bedspreads. I would design also curtains. So it was all business and school.
What did your colleagues, your fellow students think about that? What was their reaction when you're doing those businesses?
Well, they were cool, they were comfortable, but they never seemed moved or. But everyone was saying, wow, we like what you're doing, because I used to make a lot of money. So I had all the money, and in fact, my room was even called a fattening center because I could eat whatever I wanted. I had whatever I wanted. I think that's the side that my friends liked. So, but no one, I couldn't see anyone that could come to me to say, I want to do what you're doing. I want to be like the way you are. So they were just comfortable that I was dealing business with them. Yeah.
There was never that one person that just comes and says, if you continue on this path, if you continue with the business, you won't finish school.
They were. And plenty of them. Yeah. So there were times, because there are certain demands sometimes of business that needed me to be away from classes sometimes. And I needed to miss certain, programs because maybe I had so much demands, and I needed to work in the night because I used to make the bedspreads myself at a sewing machine. So sometimes I needed to be away. And maybe sometimes you'd go to a friend and then you ask for notes to say, oh, I'm asking for notes. What did you learn yesterday? And you just see a friend telling you to say, yeah, that's why I've been telling you. So this thing of you running a business and also school, you're going to fail. So I made quite a number of them, and I faced quite a number of such.
Okay. And by the time that you were graduating, did you know what your next business would be?
I knew. Though I was still in the process of, searching exactly what I needed to do what to do. And because that time I knew to say I was a trained teacher, so I wanted to go in the direction of teaching because I'd fallen in love with teaching. So for me, teaching now had come in. And for your information, at a point when I was graduating, there was even a job offer. So I was offered a job somewhere where I was told to say, come and teach and so on. They even announced when the term ended to say, we have somebody new coming next term. And I declined that because I knew what I wanted and where I was going and what I wanted to do.
Did you regret that decision?
I didn't.
And what do your family think of it? Because that's my interest. Because every parent, your son, you've paid for school. I don't know if you're in a bursary, but obviously your parents had to come through, or your sponsor had to come through at some point. And then you've paid for this young man's education. He's got a degree. Then he's turning down jobs.
I had pressure from the family, but though the pressure was, they understood what I was trying to do. Because with me, being in business was now part of me. I started running businesses at a tender age. And somehow my family understood, and they were following what I was doing. And somehow also, there was a bit of some pressure, especially at a point when I declined, a job offer to say, I don't want to join whatever. It was a government job offer. Then I declined. I said, no, I'm not coming. So the pressure came in, but, I'm sure they were reminded of what I was doing. Because by then, at that point, I think I'd already built, a 2-roomed house where I had
while
tenants.
You're still in school?
While I was still in school. And that same house now was supporting my brothers, and had shops also that I was running. There are 2 shops that I was running, and those shops were supporting the family, and they were supporting my brothers. So, you can't pressure the one who's supporting you. So definitely they knew, they understood to say, no, this person has been doing it.
Okay, sorry. My next question is, so where did you find your initial capital for the business that built all of this?
I can't remember, I can't say exactly where I found the initial capital, but it's from the little resources that I'd gathered. Remember at the University of Zambia, we used to get the BC?
Yes.
So from the little BC that I was getting, I could save some money, a bit of some money, and I would buy the materials out of the BC that I was getting. So BC money that I was getting, and it was from that money that I started now raising a bit of some capital. And also, by the time I was getting into university, I already had money. I had money because that time I was already running businesses. I was into Salora business. I was into selling of, cattle on the copper belt. So I had a bit of some money. So combined all this, that's what now made me now,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you leave university, you graduate, Great North Road Academy. How did that start?
It started as a tuition center. I didn't have enough capital, and running a school of that magnitude will require you to have all the monies, the teachers, you need to pay the teachers and so on. So I had all the skills that was needed of anybody to run a school, And we had a building. Of course, I brought in 1 or 2 people that came in to help in terms of finances. They came in as partners here and there, though it was not enough. But in the early days, what I started was I was the receptionist myself. I was a teacher myself. And I was also a human resource personnel myself. So I used to do all sorts of work. So I didn't want to start, a fully fledged school. So what I did was just to start a tuition center, and I advertised. I didn't have money to advertise in the newspapers. All I did was to make flyers. I would give to newspaper vendors and so on. And later on, people started now coming, registering, and I was in class teaching in the morning. I'm distributing flyers on the streets. Then when it's around 8 hours, I'm by the reception. And then I started now engaging few people here and there. And then when the tuition center side had grown, so that's the one that now pushed us into now, getting fully established now as a school. Now we started now enrolling primary section, and then we went into now secondary education.
Interesting. And obviously you face some kind of a thing where when something's starting, that's jerking. You're doubting, will it work? Will it not work? Let me just quit. Let me shut it down. That job, I think I made the wrong decision. Did you ever have those moments in your beginning, and how did you deal with them?
Well, there were always such moments. And even moments where sometimes I'd started thinking to say, did I make the right, choice or not? Because sometimes you're working on things and then things are not working out. Imagine we're starting a school in 2005 and then we don't make profit. 2008, 2009, we started making profit not until 2011. You're talking about almost about 6 years. You're not getting anything. And you're working, but meanwhile, you're paying for all this. So at some point, I just thought to say, but I kept on moving because I knew to say, if I stop, then what is next? What am I going to be doing? But at least because the business was self-sustaining. So that's when I said, let me just push a little bit. I sacrifice.
I've got a question because you said you're only making profits 2011. You and I worked on some big projects in 2010.
2010, yes.
You were giving, you were sponsoring programs and awarding students a lot of money. How are you managing that on a business that wasn't making losses? What was your drive? Because look, most people, if a business is not doing well, the last thing they want is someone come and say, no, we're having a concert, come and sponsor us, and they remove money and give out. What was your thought process behind you running a business that is making losses, but you then getting money and pumping into these projects, on television, on radio? What were you thinking?
I understand the art of establishing a long-lasting business. I've started business and I've done business. I've been in the business for a long time. In that team, when you're establishing a business, in your areas of establishing a business, your focus should not be on the profit side. Your focus should be on establishing a brand. So for me, sponsoring those programs, involving myself in, giving out, I think we did a lot of donations. It was one way of getting established and also creating a brand. Because in the mind of a person, when they're dealing with any organization, a client, first of all, they want to find out who is behind this. Who is this person? So people would rather associate themselves with a brand which is known. So in my areas, my focus was not on the profit, but just pumping in money into the brand. So that's why we had to come in, sponsor debate time, sponsor all these programs so that we could be known. Exams made easy from that angle so that we could be known. And today it's working out very well.
Interesting. And also, you don't do the business alone. You work with your wife. Okay, before I come to the wife question, have you ever thought about getting a business degree or a business education? Because you're a teacher, and for others, the thinking is a teacher running a business, it's going to fail. He has to know business skills, marketing and whatnot. And I'm sure now you're strong with those things. Have you ever thought about wanting to go into doing a business degree to add value to your business, or you've learned with time?
It has never crossed my mind. I have learned with time, and I do a lot of reading. And not only reading, I do a lot of consultation. I paid people to teach me. And I think the best teacher, for me has been the business itself. Because whenever I'm stuck, whenever I don't know anything, that's a study point for me. So I would rather I create theories when I'm stuck, when I have problems, than read about theories and then apply them, probably they're not working in my business.
Okay, and now let me go back to your wife, because I mentioned your wife. Both of you are teachers, by the way, and you work together. Most people, it's a struggle to work with your partner. It's a struggle to work with your partner. How have you guys made it work for you?
It has been easy for me. I think partially it is because of the nature of the person I'm married to. That's my wife. Very much understanding. Right from the beginning of the marriage, when I married her, I was already into business, though the businesses had not yet grown. And she openly said she was not into business, and she was more than ready to learn. She was more than ready to be a mentee. And she clearly stated to say, since I was the vision carrier, I needed to take the lead in the business, and she was going to follow. And you find that because of that, it hasn't been very difficult for me because you have this person who wants to learn, you have this person who really wants to follow what you're doing, and she really wants to do what she thinks what you're doing is right. And I had to take her into school. And away from the school now, I've been running with her side by side now as a mentee, from being a teacher, done all these works and so on. And this time around, she's doing fantastically, very well. She's doing excellent. So you can leave everything in her hands. There's no problem now. She understands all corners.
Okay. And talk to me about mistakes along the way, because obviously I don't think you had it all figured out from university to the doc that we're seeing and having this conversation with. What are some of the mistakes that you made looking back?
There are certain decisions I made on the way which I thought were right, and yet they were not right. Where I felt maybe to say maybe the other business, this thing where you copy a business idea from somebody, it's working out for somebody, and then you think it's going to work out for you as well. I think one of the mistakes that I made was going the college way. I think people may recall that at some point I started campaigning, for the establishment of a university college. I wanted to go in that direction because most of my friends that are in this industry now started telling me to say, no, we are making a lot of money. We have colleges now. Some now they were getting into university education and so on. And if you saw even at 11 miles there, we had put a billboard.
Yes.
That's for a complex to say we're going to open that complex. But along the way, we discovered to say, no, that was not the right decision for us. And because of certain things that we discovered about, college education, to say, no, it was not. It was a bit complex, coupled with what we are doing. So that's how we had to close, and it was already running. So we just had to abandon that even after we had invested a lot of money. We bid farewell to it, and then we had to make a U-turn. Now went into the hospitality industry. So there are so many, decisions that we've made along the way, business ideas that never worked. But I've been so quick to take notes, and then from there you branch off or you go the other way.
Okay, run me through your decision-making process, especially in terms of investments, because you started off with a school. You opened another in school in education. You got a branch.
A branch, yeah. Okay,
like
a campus,
school.
Probably campus, yeah.
So you started with a campus in town, then the campus in Chilanga, the campus in Livingstone, Avondale.
Yeah.
And then from there you branched into Tolumba the Lodge.
Then there's also the
rehab center, and then there's a resort.
Resort now,
so it's one person, and you've got all of these things under your belt. Mm-hmm. Run me through your decision-making process for investments. What has to happen for you to say, you know what, we're going into this, we're going to abandon this, this is the direction we're going? How does the decision-making process work before you arrive at an investment? And most of them have worked out because they're there for us to see. But I want to appreciate the process that you have to go through. Is it just a gut feeling, just, we're going this direction? How does it work? Yeah,
first and foremost, it's the business that dictates. You are able to tell when you're in the driving seat, you are able to tell to say, okay, there are dangers. Or maybe can I say, when you get deeper into business, you are even able to read where you're going and how things will be. Okay? So having been in school business, for instance, it taught us a lot of lessons. For instance, you have the term, when the term is up, you make a lot of money, you'll be excited. But there comes a time when parents pay all the monies and then you don't have money. You have to run for 4 months and you find that you don't have money. So it is at that point now where you make a decision to say, how can we close this gap so that we have income throughout the year and like having timely what? Income. So now, when again you sit down now, you start thinking to say, which direction do we go? Because I'm in the service industry. If I open a shop, a grocery, whatever, that's not my area. If I go the transport way, that's not my area. So I'll be confusing myself. So what is closer to what I'm doing? Hence, we had to look at now the hospitality industry to say it was closer. Because if you look at teaching, whatever schools and hospitality, there are so many similarities. So we had to go in that direction. And also at the same time, it was easy for us now to run that because we already had established the systems that we could easily now just push it into the hospitality industry. So for me, I think somebody who is thinking of, diversifying, you shouldn't go far from what you were born to do. Within that sphere, if you service, you go the service way. If you are dealing with products, you go the products way. It works out very well.
Okay. How many people do you employ right now?
Right now, I think slightly above 300.
Above 300?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And what kind of boss do you think you are? Like, how do you think your staff perceive you?
I'm more of a servant leader.
Okay.
I'm more of a servant leader. I'm one person who, even in my, meetings and also discussions with them, not only that in my conduct, I've told the people to say I am more of a servant. And I believe in, first of all, doing things first. All right? If I can't do it, let me not send someone to do it. And I've always done so. And that's why if you go into the hospitality industry, before we went into that industry, I had to train as a waiter. I had to train as a chef. I had to train so every corner. So we are now into the resort. You'll be shocked to learn that actually I've done aquaculture because there's fishing there. I've done also landscaping. So I had to learn everything. So that now if one cannot do it, I work alongside them. And I've discovered that it works out very well because in business, they say how far you go, that's how far the company will go. So I've always been that, servant leader. Even when it comes to, being treated on the ground, my staff know. I don't like special treatment. When it's lunch hour, I know where the kitchen is. If I find a queue, I must queue with everybody. I must join the queue. So I'm one person that doesn't like special treatment because I am one of them. And in our circles as an organization, if you ask anybody who is your employer, they will tell you, say, our client. So in our circles, the client is more important than the director, than any other person. So as such, when I'm there, I don't matter much.
Okay. And what kind of impact do you feel that your success has had on your children? My angle with this question is most children relax. Like, daddy has it, guys. We have a resort. We have a school. We in fact, the resort, we're even expanding the resort. We have a lodge. Our fathers made it. So we'll just, inherit.
It motivates them to do well. Yeah, because away from, just running these things, I normally have mentorship programs with them where I would sit them down, take them around, ask them questions, just to understand whether they understand what we are doing, they understand where we are, and they also understand where we are going. So I have had even sessions where I take them out where we just have a 2 days, whatever, camping session for them to understand even the cash flows, all this and so on. So you find that by doing so, it has motivated them such that now they have businesses of their own that they are running. Yeah, and I was shocked the other day when they were showing me what they have in their account. So they are also motivated and
how much was in the account?
A lot of money. But I was almost saying, can't you,
give me some.
Being the father, give me some. So they are highly motivated by what we are doing.
What advice did you get, moving up from other people that you still hold dear today? What advice did they give you some time back that has really shaped you into the person that you are now? Well,
number one is, understanding to say making it in business is a process. I'm one person that is so patient. I'm one person who is so, I'm not in a hurry to make it. If you look at my journey to where I am, it has taken so many years. So many years. I started businesses at a tender age when I was in my 9th grade. And I never, looked forward to driving Porsche vehicles and so on, living in an expensive mansion. I concentrated so much on creating this empire. So my focus was on building a brand. And it took me not until when I was 38 years, I think before then, just to have the first asset. First asset I got was in 2013. But all these years I have spent, I normally call them as being in the wilderness, where I made silly mistakes, I made wrong business ideas, I did what I did and so on, and not until my emotions had grown, patience, perseverance, and so on, that's when now I went into asset acquisition. And you'll be amazed that today, all these campuses are seated on our own. We have managed to acquire all these assets. The resort is not a rented thing. If you go to Tualumba, it's not a rented. So all these are our own assets. Why? Because I've been patient enough not to look at what other people are driving to say, let me be at their level. I've been moving at my own speed, my own pace.
Okay. So there's so many people that are in jobs, okay? And they have a side hustle, a side business. Maybe some people do, the people at work, for example, supply chickens, I supply eggs, I supply what? And for most of them, they do not know when to switch completely into business. They're still like, if I leave now, salary, I still need it. And they're really debating. What would your advice be to people like that who really want and have a passion for business, but they're scared that if they leave their job, it may, backfire and they may end up looking for another job?
I would advise to say, number one, there are certain parameters that one must look for. When you want to, to say now I'm fully independent. And that's why in the areas of establishing a business, one must not focus on making profits. One must focus on certain things such as a network, establishing a network. Yeah, because if one day you establish a business and then that business cannot suffice, if you have a network, then the network will be able to do what? Will be able to support you. So meaning in your areas of running a business, establish what? A network. So a network in such a way that you can do promotions, sponsor, do what? Get known. And create a niche. What are you known for? Okay? So what are you known for? So you create all these things and so on. So that in itself will be able to show you at some point to say, I'm ready now to stand on my own. So without a network, and also even having acquired the knowledge, the skill. So the skill to run a business, the skill to handle even finances and all this. If you don't have the skill, the network, don't make that attempt, because most people have made a mistake. And that's why I would like even to advise people that think to say you can depend on your retirement package once you have retired to establish a business, that it doesn't work that way. Because establishing a business is a process. You are talking about all these networks. Establishing a network, it takes so many years. You have to be, working for all these years. The knowledge, it takes so many years. So I'd rather your side hustle, you put it in motion, the networks and all this, then time will tell where even if I'm out of employment, I know I have friends that I can call. I know I have this network that will be able to support me.
Okay. And also, the other thing I wanted to find out is your drive, your ambition. Where is it taking you? Do you feel like you've arrived?
I am not yet there.
And what does arriving mean to you, for example? At what point will you say, okay, but now
I've arrived.
Yeah, I've arrived.
My thoughts have been telling me that once I'm done with the resort, of which now we are launching the multi-purpose conference facility.
Yeah, I saw that on social
And then
media.
after that, now we are going to construct a hotel. That's about 70 rooms or so.
At the resort?
At the resort.
Okay.
And an amusement park. So my thoughts are telling me to say once I'm done. But there's always a but. This is what I've come to learn when it comes to business, to say business is addictive. Investments are addictive.
Yeah.
So you'll find that you tell yourself to say, I'm done, this is the end. But something else again will pop up and then you start chasing after that. I don't know why it happens like that. I've always told myself at some point to say, can I slow down? But the more I tell myself to say, can I slow down? The more opportunities are opening up. And I've come to learn to say, in business sometimes, what motivates you is when you're working on something and then it works. So when you're done with that, then you start thinking, say, what is next? Yeah? So without that, life becomes meaningless. That's why you're going to find that those that are in business, they would rather you find they're chasing after this. When they're done, if they're building flats, they're done with flats. What is next? Let me start something again. Let me start. So it's like it's a game.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how do you have an eye for opportunities? Because some people, opportunities pass them by. Others are very quick. They've got a knack for opportunities. You see it, you strike, and it works out. How do I develop that sense for opportunity?
I have always, looked out for what we call whatever problems. I'm one person who pays attention to what is happening in what in the society. Whenever I'm watching news, where there are problems, I'll give you an example of the rehab.
Yeah.
That time we had the Tokota boys, we have the girls that had some sex parties somewhere, and I was paying attention. So whilst other people are making noise, doing what and so on, so my mind took me to now finding a solution to say there must be a solution to this problem. So that's how I went flat out now to start researching what could be the solution. And the answer was in establishing a rehab. So that's how I started now engaging South Africans and other people. I enrolled at Chainama. And after understanding now, that's how it was established. If you talk about the rehab, it was during the time of COVID. The idea was birthed during the time of COVID. So during the time of COVID, and again, you have to understand, a business person has got 4 eyes. We don't normally use 2 eyes. So even where I'm just looking at a wall like that, you might be thinking, say, my eyes are focused on that wall, and yet I'm seeing vehicles parked behind the wall. So we are even able to project how the world will be. And that's why along the way, we are able even to make changes in the business just to suit tomorrow, how tomorrow will be. So with the result, during the COVID time, we had lockdowns, we had all this and so on. So my mind now started projecting to say now, because people are locked up, businesses are falling and so on. So when COVID is done at some point, people be stressed, people be depressed. They would want to go and, relax somewhere. They would want to go and enjoy and so on. So that's how now the idea came in. We prepared it for such a time. And now you find that the idea is working out. You talk about, school we also have a school for the children that are living with, disabilities. So you look at the problem in our community. These are children that are thrown out. No one wants to be with them. And we had to set up a school for them. So for me, I look at problems whenever I'm working on something. Exams made easy, it was the same. I look at all these problems, and then from there, how can I be a solution to these problems?
How have you been able to sustain your businesses? Because businesses start, growth, that whole growth, maturity, decline and whatnot. But most of them, either just before growth or at growth, they go down. If you go to Pakra, they'll tell you that the number of companies registered, okay, and the number of companies actually operating, there's a huge difference, okay? And you've been in business for all these years. How do you ensure that businesses are sustainable, that I create a legacy business? Because mostly some businesses are short-term, 4, 5, 6 years. If it reaches 5 years, it's lucky, especially for SMEs. How do we create legacy businesses? How do we make sure that our businesses are sustainable for the long term? So much so that my children and their children will find the business and take over and continue running it.
I have studied myself in my years of running businesses. And even me, I wanted to understand myself to say, what is it? And what is the driving? So one of the things that I've discovered, which is a contributing factor, is my background, where I'm coming from. And I've come to learn to say, if you want to establish, a long-lasting business, it has to take, a process. And that process must be internalized in you. Okay? So there's a way your mind, your soul, and everything, they are built to, withstand certain pressure. I started running businesses at a tender age when I was in my 9th grade. And you can imagine I'm in my secondary years, I'm running businesses alongside school, university, then I'm done with that and so on. So you can even see to say I've reached now a point of no return where now business has become part of me. I can't do anything away from outside, whatever, and so on. So business is not now part of my blood. So partially that's what has contributed. So even those that want to start running businesses, it takes one's whatever understanding to say in your areas of running a business, the focus should not on growing the business. The focus should be on growing you. The focus should be on growing your emotions, your perseverance, your patience, all this and so on. And there will always be turbulences. Not every business I tried out in the past worked out. There are some I injected huge money and I walked out with nothing. But I never gave up again. I went back. I tried out the more I was trying. So there comes a point where you pick a lot of lessons along the way. And I've come to learn to say, in every failure, there are some lessons to pick. But many people would rather focus so much on money. So my focus hasn't been so much on money. My focus hasn't been so much on, Porsche vehicles and so on, even up to now. I'm not that kind of a person that is so much into all this. So my focus has been building myself first. And then I build what I'm doing. And then eventually I know these businesses one day will give me enough money to buy whatever I want in the world, to go anywhere in the world. And we are almost approaching that stage.
Okay. Talk to me about when something doesn't work. Okay. You start a business, it's failed. For example, you said you've invested huge monies into a project and you walk away with nothing. When that happens, in the moment, what's going on in your mind?
I'm done. So what goes on at first, I'm done. What is next? And even in terms of prayer, if you're a prayerful person now, you even start wondering, say, God, what wrong have I committed? What wrong have I done? And so forth and so on. Such are moments. I've had such before. Exams Made Easy project was one of those. I injected almost about 200,000. That was 200 million that time. Borrowed money. Have the books printed from China, put on the ship, the container hijacked by the pirates, and you don't have the books. But you must pay back, and you don't have the money. So now you're caught in between, what are we going to do? Should I give up and so on? So there will always be that moment. But there will always be something again that is going to come, along the way. It depends on how you're built. And that's why in life, it's very important also to have other people that you are looking up to. So again, if you stand alone in business, you end up, suffering, having all these stresses alone. But if you have somebody who has done it before, someone who has made it before, they'll be able to advise you to say, this is normal. So losing everything in business is normal. And yet, we normally say in business, there are no losses. You can lose everything, but you'd have gained experience. And that's why somebody who's been in business, if you lose a lot, you lose everything that you had. You don't start from the scratch. You start from the experience at some point. So you are better placed because you have learned something. Unless maybe you don't pick lessons from, your losses.
Have you ever gotten a loan in business?
Yes, I've done so. And I'm still servicing a few loans, just one loan, yeah.
Okay. Do you advise? Okay. What should someone think about before they get a loan for their business? Because for most people, that is where it actually even ends.
Yeah.
That's where it ends because you don't, do your due diligence. It fails. Others are just scared of money.
Yeah.
There's just some people who are just scared of loan. What and what. And how do you manage loans?
For loans, most people normally apply for loans for the right reasons and use the money for wrong things. That's what I've come to discover. You find that somebody, borrows to say they want to expand a business, but they have an interest in using the money so that they buy a television, which is not going to bring back the money. And I know at a point when you're applying, you have noticed to say your business is able to do what? Is able to pay back. And that's why we normally advise to say, if you're getting a loan, get a loan for expansion and not to start a business. And I believe even banks, no lending institution can give you money for a startup company, unless for expansion. So when you're borrowing money, use it for the right things, for the intended purpose. You have asked me about getting a loan to say I got a loan. Yes, I've acquired 2 or 3 loans on the way, but I've closed that chapter. Yeah, when I was buying the properties, I was buying properties, I think 2 or 3 properties, which are housing the current schools. And there was no way out. We needed those properties. And the schools were more than ready and to fund the loans, of which we don't have any problems. We have never defaulted. Even up to now, we are almost coming to the end. So we have done so. And even the payments were going direct now to the owners of the buildings. I've never gotten a loan and then I use the money for other things. No, the monies were paid direct. So most people get loans, but the money is used for other purposes and not the intended one.
Okay. And so talk to me about systems for running businesses. You have the resorts, the lodge, the schools, and you're just one person. I've had this conversation with others in the past. I want to know what systems work for you in terms of management. And have you ever had people maybe steal from you? Because I think that's also the biggest drawback in business, where you end up hiring the wrong people. And those can just wipe you out of business completely. What has been the experience like for you?
First and foremost, let me talk a bit about systems, then I'll come to that. In your areas of establishing a business, if you want to go the human resource way, we normally advise that you build a system. You come up with a system. And that system now goes with, your values. What values do you have? The vision must be clear. The mission must be clear. All these things, the operations, the systems must be in place. So that now, when you're talking about a system, I'll give an example of our system, the system, the way our system works, in that when somebody is employed, there's what we call company culture. They must, first of all, be inducted into the company culture. The culture that we have, in terms of values, in terms of what, the change process they're taken through. It takes almost about 3 months. And in the 3 months, they must have a mentor, somebody who is reporting every day how they are faring, and they are taught, they are doing. So we do a lot of things. Like, for instance, we have pillars, about 6 whatever pillars or so upon which the organization stands. So they must understand these pillars and then follow these pillars religiously. So there's normally that process. So you find that within the system now, once they are taken through this system, it has been made in such a way that even things such as, people stealing and all this, one cannot steal. And even in terms of working, we have built in a system in such a way that, it doesn't need me to be there for the company to run. We have a school in Livingstone. I don't need to be there. We have Tualumba Lodge. I don't need to be there. We have the resort. So I don't need to be on the ground. So everyone, including even myself, are monitored by the system, including the people that are handling finances, because the system will be able to check each and every person. But it takes a process. And that process, those that want to build businesses, you can start building bit by bit. And that's why those that want to establish long-lasting businesses, I want to tell you to say it's not a year's job. Give yourself at least about a time frame of 2-3 years. You are just building a system. The profit issue should not come in, but build a system in terms of human resources, in terms of culture. If you come into our organizations now, go to the rehab, the way you'll be received, that's the way you'll be received at Tualumba. That's the way you'll be received in the schools. That's the way everything. So it's a culture that we've built as an organization.
Interesting. And you interact with a lot of young entrepreneurs. From the conversations you have with them, what are the common problems that most of them are facing?
Most of them are in a hurry. They want to make it tomorrow. Unfortunately, business is not like that. And that's why most of them are stuck. That's the major problem that I've discovered. Most of them are impatient. They want now. They want tomorrow. Yeah. In fact, that's the major and the common problem that I've faced, because that's why you find they're there tomorrow, they jump here and so on, and they don't want to be in one place.
Okay, and what's your advice to them?
Yeah, chill. Yeah. It takes a longer period of time to build a brand, to build a business. It's not a one-day thing, not 2 days thing. It takes many years, so there must be patience. Yeah.
Most people, the pressure they have is in terms of, yes, I'm working on my business, but I'm also concerned about what that guy is doing. Okay, so it's a matter of, we began this together, but he seems to be ahead of me. I give myself pressure, I then go get a loan because I want to match up with him. In your years of business, has it ever mattered what your competitor is doing?
I've never thought about it. Yeah, I'm my own person. I know what I'm made of, and I know what I'm doing. And in fact, I've even given people ideas on how to run schools, on how to run even a lodge, how to run a resort. Now people consult, because I know what I'm capable of doing, and I know what I'm able to do. So I've never been pressured by my friends. Even those that are into different businesses, I've never been pressured by that. I know what I'm capable of doing. I think I've told this story before. when I was getting established at with Great North Road Academy, my former schoolmates, UNZA mates, some of them were already driving, and I'm giving even flyers to them. And I was never pressured because maybe they're driving a latest vehicle. I've never been pressured by that. So all I would tell myself is one day I'm going to get there. I know one day when I have my own vehicle, theirs would have been old. So me, I'll be going to the showroom. So when I know what I'm capable of doing and what I'm able to do. So I'm never pressured by that.
Okay, so you are an avid businessman. Obviously, you're good with business. You're also a parent, you're also a husband. Do you feel, and for me, this is basically around balance. Do you feel that you're a better businessman than a better parent, or are you a better husband than a better businessman? How do you rate yourself? How do you rate yourself?
Number one, I'm a better parent, husband. I'm pairing these two, husband and also a parent, because there's no success that I would have achieved if I was told I was not successful in these areas. Most people are failures in their businesses because they have failed their families. So I'm a successive husband, I'm a successive parent. That's why businesses have succeeded.
Okay, and how do you find the time for a family in all of this that you do? Because look, if you're running 5 businesses that are in different locations, you travel, you watch, you're there, you're just from finishing the construction of the resort. Obviously, you did mention that there's obviously some expansion happening there in terms of the multi-facility, the conference that is being created there. But from beginning that and to where it is today, it demanded for a lot of your time. How did you then also find time for your family and for your wife, and to not a thing where you feel like, when daddy was poor, he was there for us. Now that he's made it, we don't see him. How have you managed that?
What I've come to learn about children pick more of our actions. They learn more from the actions than what we tell them, what we discuss when we are with them. I've been a good model in that area. And also, I'm one person who's so closer to them. They are my friends. They don't run away from me when they see me. So we talk as friends, so that even in the 10 minutes when I'm with them, they feel like, Daddy, don't go. We want to be with you. So I make sure that at least I reserve, whether it's an hour I'm with them, it's 1 hour, 100% I have to be with them, not even the phone. And I've discovered to say, because I've made them my friends, we talk as friends, even in the 1 hour that we have, that's quality time I have with them. So they'll pour out, we'll talk, and there are no boundaries. And even during daytime, sometimes we call each other. When they're at home, I'll call several times, guys, how are you? Or what, and so on, So I've just gotten to their level. So children every day, if there's a parent out there, let them hear even such sweet words like, I love you, my love, whatever, and so on. They feel good and they feel nice. And because of that, that this attraction all the time. If I haven't called, if I'm late, you go home, then they'll tell you, say, where have you been today? You're late. It should go to that, extent. Then you should know to say they are into me. And as such, because we are friends, if I talk, I advise, then they'll listen. They'll say, no, Dad, we have heard. Tomorrow you won't see them doing what? Yeah.
Okay. As we draw to a conclusion, Doc, what would you say are your top 5 most valuable pieces of advice you'd like to give to young people?
The first advice that I want to give is, 1, take your time. Building a business, now there's so much noise around entrepreneurship. Building a business takes so many years. That's advice number 1. So you must take your time. And then the second advice, much of the work when you're talking about building a business must be about you. Most people normally work so hard on things they're working on and not on themselves. Why? Because I've learned to say you are the reason you are where you are, not what you're doing. So if you work on yourself, your emotions, it all depends on first understanding yourself. If you understand yourself, then you understand other people. You understand what you're doing. And understanding yourself begins by questioning. You start questioning certain things. Why is the other person better than me? How can I be the other person like the other person? Most of the people don't have that intelligence to question, which I have done so. So know yourself. Ask people that are better than you how they got there. Don't assume you know. Don't assume you are fine. So the people are going to guide you. They'll help you. This is what some of us have done. And also, I don't know whether I've done 4 or what, I've mixed them. The last one is also, have faith in God. Every business has got the spiritual side. So the spiritual side, that one is very important. It's either you're a child of God or you're a child of the devil. So don't just look at me. I've invested heavily in the kingdom of God. I'm a prayerful person, pray, tithing, all these. So God should not be left outside your business. God should be involved in your business, and He shall see you through.
Thank you very much, Doc. Anything else that you think we've forgotten?
I think I've said we had everything.
Okay, and first of all, congratulations on your achievements.
Thank you so much.
It's not easy.
Thank you.
And I feel like we need to celebrate more Zambians that are making it.
Thank you so much.
Because the more we celebrate Zambians, the more the success stories are closer to the young people.
Yeah.
As opposed to always saying, no, there's Dangote, there's what. But if we shine a light on Zambians, then we open the door of possibilities obviously, for young people to say, no, look, if Dr. Siatwambo can do it, who am I not to do it?
Maybe one word on that one. I've heard many people normally say Zambians don't support Zambians. I totally disagree with that. Yeah, just in line with what you're saying, I want to cement something, because it's common among Zambians to say, no, if you establish Zambians, so if you come to the resort and the lodge, people normally come and they openly tell me to say, we are supporting this thing because it's our own, it's a Zambian thing. What people don't want is you putting yourself where you don't belong. Because most young people, when they make it, you want to show people, you want to flash out. Check on my Facebook page. You'll never find me promoting myself. Oh, I'm owning this. I am in UK, I'm doing what, and yet I travel a lot. So most young people make that mistake, and most Zambians normally don't like that. Talk about them, promote them, then they'll promote you, not promoting yourself.
Thank you. That's number 5, you see? Otherwise, thank you very much, Doc.
My pleasure, thank you.
You mentioned the Facebook page. What's the Facebook page for those that would like to follow your works?
Dr. Rozious Siatwambo.
Okay.
As simple as that, Dr. Rozious Siatwambo.
Okay, so the school is in town, and we know it. Chilanga campus, Avondale campus, Livingstone campus.
And there's Rhodes Park for the children that are living with disabilities.
Oh, Rhodes Park also.
Yeah.
What are you calling that one?
It's a special education unit, Great North Road Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, and the resort is on Great North Road.
Great North Road as well. Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Doc. We'll keep supporting.
My pleasure.
I'm looking forward to come. I just see IDC posts. No, I'm at the resort. I've seen my mom posts at the resort. One of these days I'll come through. When you invite me, I'll also come through and post my bride pack.
After this, behind the scenes, we are going to talk.
Thank you so much, Doc.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, so guys, that's where our conversation with the Doc ends today. Remember, subscribe, like, share the video. Also follow him on his Facebook page. There's a lot that goes on there in terms of, I've seen you promote a lot of young businesses. You've got a day, like, is it a market or something?
Yeah, which is a Friday.
Yeah. So also that goes on. And yeah, let's just, keep having these conversations. And obviously we will continue next week. We're grateful for your time and we look forward to you supporting the podcast again. So yeah, thank you so much and enjoy whatever it is that you're doing before this video. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much.